Hello, welcome to the final word. Everton 1, Crystal Palace 0, FA Cup third round replay. Goodison Park, joined by Jack in the studio with myself and Ped. And it was cold. A cold night at Goodison Park. Wasn't quite Bate Borisov cold, but it was cold. But Everton got the job done, Ped, and I think that's really all we can say. It wasn't a great game, but we got the job done.
Can't imagine this is going to be a very long show.
No,
it was nice being a traumatic Everton week, I mean, you know.
Normal
Everton week. Yeah, and I think that's all we hoped for, didn't we? Just get the job done, and no one really wanted to be there last night. It wasn't a game I think many were excited for. You know, there was a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people at the game last night who wouldn't normally get to go to the game, and that was great for them. Palace fans certainly weren't. I actually felt a little bit sorry for Palace fans last night, the ones who travelled.
Did you?
Just because, like, the manager taking the best player off with 25 minutes ago and things like that. I did think...
To be fair, though, the rest of the players on the pitch didn't look like they wanted to be there.
No, I just felt a little bit sorry for them. I don't very often feel sorry for away fans, but I did actually feel sorry for them last night. But no, we're through, and that's all that matters. A piece of class got us into the next round, and I think in a lot of early cup games where it can go either way. I listened to Roy Hodgson on the way home, and he basically admitted he'd rather have lost the first game than have a replay.
I got that impression from both of them at the first game, that it was do or die on the night. You know, if we get beat, we're out and we move on. If we get through, great, but they didn't want an extra game. And Hodgson said after the first game, neither myself or Sean wanted this replay, wanted this to go to a replay. And that... There is going to be changes to the FA Cup. It's already at the fifth round is a Wednesday night, which is rubbish, and no replay, straight to penalty. So, Jack, where do you stand on the replay situation at the moment? Would you just go, it's basically a one-off game, where if you're drawn home, good for you, if you're away, but it's decided on the day? And would you have extra time? Because last night there was some fears near the end that we'd have to sit for another 30 minutes in the cold. Would you just do what the Carabao Cup do, 90 minutes and penalties? Where are you? Yeah,
well, me and Ped had a good chat about the replay system on MTAG before on the live show. That if people want to hear about it in more detail, they can go and check that out. But I think replays serve a good purpose for EFL teams and non-league teams, was the financial bonus for them, especially if it's against Premier League or big Championship team. It's massive, but I think ultimately we shouldn't just look on that and have that and keep that. I think maybe, we find a better way to financially support these teams in terms of restructuring the money, so they don't have to bank on, we'll get a good team and then we'll get a replay with them and that'll financially sort us. Maybe just come up with a system that just financially sorts them anyway for getting to that stage of the FA Cup. Maybe they just get a cash bonus for reaching that round. I don't like replays. I don't think anyone inside the Premier League does. They're often just quite boring affairs like we seen last night, where especially when you get two teams who aren't favourites for the competition, who do have small squads, they don't really fancy it, the fans don't fancy it. I think even a lot of Evertonians who go in the game didn't particularly fancy it. It was just... I know my brother went and he didn't even know what time the kickoff was, just because it was just a case of...
That's more about your brother, I'll be honest.
No, it just... None of us...
I'll be honest, Jack, in this day and age, a glance at your phone tells you the kick-off time. He should have really
had a glance at his phone and then he knew.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's...
You talk about the excitement of it, rather
the excitement
than going for it.
Yeah, it's... I think really, ideally, we get to a stage where we don't need replays to, financially support a handful of clubs. We can just do straight to penalties, because I don't think anyone particularly likes extra time anyway. Because extra time, just two teams trying not to lose it 99% of the time. Just go straight to penalties, you know what you get, and then the Carabao Cup does it right. And yeah, obviously you would need to change things financially first. But I think sort that out, get around that, and then let's just commit to no replays, straight to penalties, and then it just makes it easier for everyone, doesn't it?
It is a bit mad, Ped, that from not the fourth round, but the fifth round, that is basically the replays have gone out the window.
Yeah, but that tells you why, though. The reason why is because the magic of the cup is still smaller teams beating bigger teams, the upsets, and there's going to be less of those teams in the fifth round anyway. That's where the business starts, and they know they can get away with it from the fifth round.
So would you leave it in the third and fourth round then, would you?
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what's the best for everyone, because ultimately I could sit here and now and go, give all teams that are not in the Premier League the home game, and they might go, we don't want the home game because we've got a 6,000-7,000 capacity where we could be getting somebody who's got 60,000. We could be giving 10,000 tickets, take 25% of the gate, and earn loads more, and all our fans get a day out. Do you know what I mean? It's so hard. You can't see, for us, we think, oh, they want give them the home game, and they're like, but we don't want the home game. Where that's us almost talking down. Well, it is talking down to them. I think what you'd have to do is you'd have to talk to the EFL and the Premier League and the FA. Are going to have to get together and work out the best system. Get rid of VAR from the competition until the semi-finals, maybe.
Could you also try and sort a system maybe where before the game takes place, the two teams can agree on if they want a replay or not? If they both say no replay, then there's no replay. But if one team says yes replay, then it can go to a replay. That protects the lower league club.
No, I get
Everton, Palace.
That's the problem, isn't it? The best solution for Premier League teams isn't the best solution for the Championship teams, or it's so difficult, isn't it?
More games than
no, I know, that's what I'm saying. It's so difficult, isn't it? And as I said, like, you could have VAR in the semi-finals because both finals are going to be played at Wembley, and which is rubbish on its own. But then it becomes that thing of like, well, then it becomes even, and I don't know what's best. I don't know what's best for everybody involved. Premier League teams wouldn't want replays because it's so congested. So, but Blackpool last night got into extra time against the Premier League club, and after playing them away and taking them back. So tell them go and tell a Blackpool fan.
City.
Yeah, go and tell Blackpool. Go and tell Blackpool they've got money from the first game, money from the second game, and certainly there are fans who've gone away, have had a great day. Go and tell them. I mean, we can't have maybe it's something like the League Cup. We have to take something out the League Cup. We have to start looking at that and thinking the teams who are in Europe are just not in it. So you don't have to start worrying about the congestion of all these games. Liverpool will play the fourth round 3 or 4 days after they've played the second round of the second leg of the semi-final. Take that out the equation, maybe, and as Jack said, pay them a little bit more money, and because if we are banking on a system which is basically financial, then what's the magic of the cup anymore? Because that was never I'd never heard people talk about money when I was growing up with the magic of the cup. It was about giant killing, and giant killing is just something that doesn't happen anymore. If we're saying it's purely financial now, then we're going to have to do something about that then.
Bristol City will say it was a giant killing. They obviously knocked West Ham out the other night, but that is one of the only ones in the third round, doesn't it? Jack, the manager, went with João Virginia in goal again. Had the 2 goalies on the bench last night, Jordan Pickford and Andy Lonergan, but went with João Virginia. I was a little bit surprised he didn't give Beto a start. I think these are the games where you should be using your squad a little bit, I think, at home as well. But he didn't. He went with Dominic Calvert-Lewin up there. And I mean, the Virginia thing, what have you made of that? Because obviously it's not so Pickford isn't cut side. It's just to give João Virginia some game time, and he did well in the first game, I suppose, and he did well again last night. Yeah,
I've been impressed with Virginia, to be honest. I thought in the first game he did what he needed to do. He made routine saves, but he still made them, and then in this game, especially towards the end, he made a really good save and a few throughout. And look, is he ever going to be in contention to be our starting goalkeeper? Not while Jordan Pickford's at the club. But it's good to know, and we are going off a small sample size here, so I'm trying to be realistic. Yeah. But from what we've seen, he looks a capable enough number 2, which is fine. That's all we need him to be, because all we need from our number 2 is someone who can play if we need to. We're not going to get someone to, really rival Jordan Pickford for that spot, because no football club needs that. You have your number 1 and they're your number 1. It's just someone who, okay, if anything happens, if there's an injury or whatever, you can come in and do good enough, and Virginia's done good enough in his game so far. In terms of Beto, I would have liked to seen him start, but I wasn't surprised he didn't. He obviously favours Calvert-Lewin, and I do understand why, despite his poor form and, you know, with his poor finishing in the last few weeks. I just think, yeah, Beto, he offers something different, and I am a fan of Beto and I want him to do well, but I look at some of the chances Calvert-Lewin's missed, and I think Beto might score them, but I don't know if he gets himself in for those chances in the first place. I don't know if he always makes the intelligent run. I don't know if he always shows for the ball as well as Calvert-Lewin might. I think that's where, you know, Calvert-Lewin has spent, 6-7 years playing in the Premier League now, around that number. Yeah. Beto's only been a professional footballer for about 4 years, and that's, you know, coming through Portugal and Italy. He's just not had that standard of coaching drilled into him. I would have gave him the start just to go, okay, first striker's out of form. If he comes in, Beto comes in, maybe gets a goal, that gives him a boost, and, you know, it's another opportunity to work on something in a game that isn't our top priority. But I just don't think he fancies him, and to a degree I do understand why.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you're just flogging a dead horse with Dom at the moment, because every game that goes past without him scoring, the pressure cranks up even more. You can see the goal must just look tiny to him right now. Whereas I think sometimes it's sensible to take someone off the firing line, freshen them, and get them back on. But yeah, you know, he's more refined than what Beto is, of course. He has his hold-up plays better. Good in the air. I just don't think he's playing very well, and I'd be saying the same for a midfield player, a winger, a full-back, a centre-back. It's this, you can't go, well, we're just going to keep playing him, because that's not the way you look after your players. But the managers chose that, and that's fine. That's what he went with. Ped, I thought, in a low intensity game, because it was low intensity, as in both teams were either freezing or just not asked. Yeah. You could see that in the opening 15 minutes. Thought Everton settled down all right. I mean, it's difficult because both teams kind of cancel themselves out, didn't they? It was, neither team loves the ball. You can see that both want to try to break, but I thought we started comfortably enough. Obviously, Gomez did me back in instead of
two teams without the best players, basically, or the players who make them tick. And yeah, you could see it early on. It was a battle in that centre of the park. Who didn't want the ball most effectively, wasn't it? And kept on just giving it over. And both teams just lack real quality in the attacking third. Obviously, they had Eze, but he was really, really quiet. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him play at the level he played when we beat them early on the season, 3-2. I don't know if he's had a game as good as that since. But yeah, we are very basic in the final third, and the way we play, the structure we play to, clearly the manager wants Jack Harrison and Dwight McNeil to get back into defensive positions, and that because they both lack pace and they find it hard to join up, and that's where Decore is so good, because he can join up quicker. Gomez is interesting because if Decore is out again, that's actually an interesting one. Is he the only real fit into a number 10 that you can get a more rounded skill set? I don't know. He would probably look to Jack Harrison if Ashley Young is available. But I just thought we lacked, and I actually thought Gomez was the only one who actually, when he got on the ball, was looking to do something slightly different. So a variable on the last time we had the ball, where with Harrison and McNeil, you know exactly what they're going to do. And it's a case of, can you stop what we're going to do? And 9 times out of 10, I don't think it's very hard to stop what they do. I look at both of them, and I'm so, through various stages of the season, I've been so up and down with both of them. But it is, it is noticeable. McNeil's has got injuries, and Harrison's got the fact that might be his only season at Everton. But both of their levels aren't great, are they? Let's be honest about it. Like, McNeil's nowhere near what he was last season. He's not got to that level of consistency that he was second half of the season, and it really shows because, he doesn't get the ball into the box. He's not supplying. Harrison looks like Peter Begley at times. You know, he just, again, it's like, I'll go to cross. I do feel sorry for any centre forward who plays for this team, because they have no one close to them, and there's no real supply line, and they don't, you know, McNeil isn't just putting the crosses into the box. I'd rather our wide players just put like 7 or 8 crosses in a game, because I'd be pretty confident that Don will get on the end of it, and if he does, then it's up to him to put in the back of the net. And I thought Gomez was really the only little drive, the only little spark that either team had. Both had like opportunities, but it was a very poor game. And if you didn't watch it, you didn't really miss much.
They're too safe at times, I think, Everton. I think McNeil isn't playing well. He was, you know, second half of the season, he was excellent, and he was a threat, and lots of crosses, shots. He looked like he could ping one in from anywhere. And at times this season, he's shown glimpses that you can see the abilities in that left foot. I don't know whether he's injured at the moment, or I know he's had a lot going on personally, I get that, so I'm not going to call him out too much. I just think he's just not at the level that he was, and when you set standards, the players have to match that, don't they? Jack Harrison's decision making lets him down. He works hard enough, he runs up and down, he closes down, he puts the shift in. Decision making's, it does, I mean, Ped's right there, it does affect a striker, because you don't know whether it's a stick or bust. Is it coming in now? Do I get myself away? I'm always turn back. But I still think even James Garner and Amadou Onana last night, too often the passes sideways or backwards. And it was only someone like Gomez and Michalenko really who were playing the ball from Patterson, trying to get Dom in behind, were playing forward passes. And that's something we've definitely got to improve in the second half of the season, Jack, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. And just on McNeil, he is unfit at the moment. You know, he came in, he had his injury, which looked a lot worse than it actually was. But he came into the Villa game after not training, and then a quick turnaround into Palace. But
so why didn't he just play Dan Zuma then?
Well, that's another issue, isn't it?
If Dwight isn't fully fit, why not just play Dan Zuma?
That's another issue. Again, it's a player he obviously doesn't fancy, but it's okay. I know we have our system, and overall our system has worked this season. And look, I'm not Dan Zuma's biggest fan, but can we make tweaks to what we do to just try and get? We've got players who are good enough to play in this team. They just don't fit this team. And Dan Zuma and Beto. Okay, so can we make tweaks to get the best out of them, or are we married to this system? Which, you know, we've done well.
Yeah.
But it's not, you know, we can move away from it if we need to. We just need to figure out, okay, what are we going to do next? But with McNeil, he's clearly been unfit, and he struggled before he got injured, and he come back as well. So, you know, while it is an issue now, he's not done well enough this season to have me, you know, confident he's going to be backfired, and once he is fit again, you know, he does need to find that little bit extra. I just think him and Harrison are a bit too ordinary at times, and that's the issue, because you look at wingers and you go, okay, you get, you know, your hard work and bread and butter winger like McNeil, like Jack Harrison, or you get your flashy winger, which, you know, a Dan Zuma type who probably won't work as hard. It's about finding that balance, and I think in terms of balance, we've probably got two of the better ones for what we can get in terms of the level we are. You know, in terms of the goals they might score, and then work rate as well. They strike a decent balance, but I think at times we could just do with going the other way a little bit more, just get a little bit more out of them. But I don't know if they're that type of player. Really? So it's okay, it goes back to the system. It goes, okay, can we change the system to give our wingers a little bit more freedom? Do we, okay, if Decore's not available, do we change the shake-up of our midfield to give us more protection in the wide areas so the wingers don't have to track back as much, they can stay further forward? Maybe that benefits Dan Zuma. Yeah. It's just about looking at what we've got, how can we make things work, rather than, like you said, flogging a dead horse.
We need pace, don't we? We need pace in the wide areas, and it's pace to transition, it's pace. The manager's always going to ask them to get back and create, you know, a 6 at times across the back line like we did against Villa. But it's the pace to transition into the next phase. So when the ball gets to Dom, they can get across the ground quickly and get closer to him, and they're both slow players. And the problem with Dan Zuma is he's probably quicker, but he hasn't got that football.
He hasn't got the drive either.
But he just hasn't got that football intelligence of what he wants to do is pick up the ball and do it all himself. He's got no other thought. Now that's great. That can be great in a certain system if you've got players behind you, or you know you're a more attacking, free-flowing team. But he never picks his head up and goes, right, I'm going to get across. What we effectively need is those those two players, but quicker versions of them. But we're not going to get that, are we? And that makes it really difficult. And it's so evident how, without why Decore's so important to us.
I think what the manager's done, I mean, it was Everton's 7th clean sheet in 11 games last night. So we've got that stability, as in he knows what he wants. There's a structure in place there. The players are all buying into it. They're all working hard with it. We know when we lose a couple of the cogs that it's more difficult for us, and Decore is a key cog, isn't he? You know, Seamus Coleman hasn't been available enough. Ashley Young is someone who you could alter this. Certainly he's an option off the bench, isn't he, when the wingers are tired? Because at the moment you can see the wing, like just going back to Villa on Sunday, Jack Harrison was knackered towards the end, and it was a bit like the Brighton game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're thinking, is this going to come back here? Because they were trying to get wide and put crosses in there at the end, and it's like, is this going to bite us on the arse? If he would have had Ashley Young would probably been playing, but if he would have had Ashley Young to come on there for 15 minutes, he could have took Jack Harrison off. And that's why last night I was a little bit thinking, this is a game you wanted to win, of course you did, but at home, you're trying to build momentum so that you're getting your home form better, so you feel good there. And also teams start thinking, these are actually all right at home, because for too long we've been losing 9 or 10 home games in the season or whatever, stupid amounts of defeats, where we are trying to arrest that. But there's still those moments where he could mix it up slightly. You're right with Dan Juma. He's got something, but he hasn't got their aptitude. He's not going to go and work his bollocks off for you. And Lewis Dobbins simply ain't ready.
I think in a game like that, all it's about is getting through. Nothing else matters. Yeah. And if Everton at home, if you're the manager, I think you'd say this yourself. If Everton get a clean sheet at home, they expect to win. Yeah, of course. And obviously it's a cup game, so you've got to have something on the night. But if Everton get a clean sheet at home, they expect to win. Yeah. And that's the top and bottom of it. And I think that's what he's done last night. And I think, and I have no real issue with that. I don't walk out going, that's a terrible. And I don't think anyone would have. No. I don't think anyone with a brain would have, because the finite changes he can make, he can't make, because he's got Adesina Gay away, and he's got Ashley Young. And they're the only changes he can, that you think. Ashley Young would play on the right, and Jack Harrison would play central.
Yeah, the striker.
So that's the only change. Or he could say, I'm going to play maybe James Garner further forward, but I'm going to have Adesina Gay sitting in with Onana. And they're basically the only options, apart from what he did last night, which was bring Gomez in. Now, Gomez might have given him a little bit more, food for thought. And I hope he did. He still looks like he's carrying a fridge when he runs. He does. I mean, when he got that one-on-one in the second, it wasn't one-on-one. But about 5 seconds, it was one-on-one, and then he went, I can't beat this fella, and just checked back and lost it.
He's just slow.
But at the same time,
nice
you can see there's a player there's a footballer in there.
The problem you've got with Andre Gold, there is, and he's good on the ball, he's strong, but doesn't score enough. Ironically, he got the winner, but he doesn't score goals, he doesn't create goals, does he? He's just someone who. He keeps the ball. He looks good, and in a team that had a lot of goals where it wasn't relying on him, he's fine. But sadly for us, we're always looking for these players to be the provider or the goal scorer, because there is a dearth of goals. And Ped said it before. There is no pace in this side at all.
No, you're absolutely right. The only thing for me is, which is a maybe. Thing is similar to Decore, he's often been played deeper in the Everton team.
Don't get me wrong, he looks all right there.
I know he didn't score from open play last night as a free kick, but he did have that chance in the first half, and he took it from distance, playing a bit further up the pitch, because we do play through that sort of number 10 second striker hybrid role. That's our attacking threat. Especially when our two wingers aren't blessed with attacking talent, that's where we play through, and that's where we've struggled. And I think Gomez simply being on the pitch, just showing the benefit of having someone who can replicate the basics, the attacking side of that role, just get in them same positions, just gives us a way to play through, even if he's not Decore. Long term, will he succeed there? I don't think so. I don't think he'll be at Everton long term. So his contract's running out.
It's a nice template, though, isn't it?
Well,
it's a nice template, like what he's if Everton,
what the next
if Everton do, stay in the Premier League and everything else this season, and then you look at someone like, dare I say, Ross Barkley, who would be out of contract, then you'd look at him and go, there's somebody. I mean, I know we got Dele. I don't expect Dele Alli will ever play for them again, but.
You might get 6 games out of him at the end of the season.
Simply because
what I meant was simply because.
I think what Gomez has showed just by playing in that role that it doesn't have to be filled by a Decore type. If someone can pick up the ball and start moving with it, there's definitely that space between the midfield and the centre backs. If you've got someone with a little bit of drive, they can take advantage of that. And
no, you're right, but I think our wingers have got to take it on themselves to get themselves up and get involved, because we've got 2 midfielders there that sit. James Garner tries to get involved. Onana's up and down, but in general he's a 6. You've got your 2 centre backs. You should always have one of your full back. I mean, a lot of teams, like I know the very best teams, leave 2 at the back when they're attacking, but we'd still be leaving at least 4 there. Our wingers were right, should be high. And the other thing is, when we get into those areas with someone like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we should just be throwing. Like when Dwight McNeil was on form last season, he was getting the ball running and just crossing it. And sometimes he was crossing it blind. He was just putting it into the danger zone. And then we started getting on the end.
Then you've got the second ball then.
Exactly, you're battling for the second ball.
In that zone.
But just at the minute, we're hesitating. He's like running and he's like stopping and checking back and passing it back. And
does that make it like... Does Dwight McNeil then suit the role playing behind Dom than actually Jack Harrison does?
Well, that's an option though, isn't it? Because Dwight McNeil can shoot. He can strike a ball. He can go past.
Also run with the ball.
He travels with it. He goes past players comfortably enough. He can beat a man comfortably, and he's got a great strike on him. Has he got enough to thread balls through? Probably. He's got a decent brain. It's the pace in the wide area that lets him down. But last year he did cope with it, because he was just getting it out of his feet and putting deliveries into the ball. And then when it was opening up ahead of him, he was having a go and he scored a couple of crackers. We do need to see something like that. And maybe when, I don't know, maybe if Ashley Young comes back and the manager goes, well, say Decore's out, we'll start Ashley Young on the right and Jack Harrison on the left, not Dwight McNeil off Dom. You know what I mean? It just, you've got to have a couple of options. Everton still need to bring someone in.
That's where it's nuts, though. What Everton need to do in the real world is let Dan Juma go and obviously have a replacement.
If he's not going to play,
if he's not, it's not even that he's not going to play. It just doesn't suit us, because he's not. He is so different from the other 2 that we need someone. Ashley Young will do what Harrison does. Yeah. We need someone on the left that can do what McNeil does,
which is Jack Harrison,
with a little bit of pace.
Do
you know what I mean? Or you have to get into Dobbin every day and work his bollocks off.
I don't think Dobbin will do it.
No, but what I mean is you have to educate him on what his role is. Like when he came on last night, it's I want to impress. It's like, no, calm down. You had a 5-yard pass to McNeil. And if he played a simple 5-yard pass, McNeil's in on goal, and he doesn't. He actually played it too late and played it made it a 7-yard pass.
Ironically, nearly scored from it.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
No, you're right, yeah.
He played that pass with the intention of getting it back, which he did, didn't he, rather than slipping.
Probably, I mean...
But he still hit it too far ahead.
McNeil would have been in, because McNeil could... But no, but that's what I'm saying.
Harrison's done well on the left, though, for Leeds, because he gets it out of his... Because he has got a little bit of pace. He's not, like, rapid, but he's got a little bit of pace. He can move the ball. And he's left foot. And
he's a player who wants to cut inside. He tries that on the right, but then he's a bit too one-footed. But that's his natural game, to come inside. But then he doesn't even have the overlap and full-back all the time. So he's a player that's out.
These are problems that we can't solve. Let's be honest.
The manager's done well to be able to craft something that...
No, I think what we're saying is these are why we are. This is why we are the way we are. We're not picking holes in it. We're just saying this is actually why we are the way we are.
Last night we had... In the first half, Dom forced a good run actually, and forced a good save out to Sam Johnston, didn't he, with the keeper push wide. They had a similar one with João Virginia, tipped over, didn't he, which broke in the box. As he'd had a couple of little runs, but he was comfortable
carried
save.
Ball out of a scramble at one point.
And Gomez had the shot, like you said, which he done well from, and hit it, but it was a comfortable save for Johnston, like down the throat. And then obviously we got the free kick. Lerner jumping through the air with 2 feet. Some people would say he was out of control. He was going for the ball, but you're not really allowed to do that anymore, which is why he got the yellow card from it. And then Andre Gomez has stood over it with Jack Harrison, and I'm sat there saying we haven't scored a free kick since Luca Dean scored one against Watford 5 years ago with Goodison, and lo and behold, Gomez steps up and scores a cracker.
Yeah, last player you expected it from, really, you know, just in terms of his goal scoring record.
No,
and
Jack Harrison was the last person I expected it from.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But we have seen, you know, Decore in that role pick up on goals, and yet it was from. It wasn't from open play, but okay, it's on a good angle. I don't think the wall was arranged great as well. I think, you know, we did get a little bit lucky about
the greatest wall I've ever seen.
It was beautiful.
Great line up from Sam Johnson.
Better than China.
The best free kick. Great wall of China's great, but on a football pitch, don't think you get away with that.
I still think Gomez hit it really well, and you know, it doesn't matter about the wall. It doesn't matter about could the keeper do better.
It was a great free kick.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you've still got to take it.
The fact that it hit the post as well, just to give it that ping back.
Brushed the post and went behind.
Beautiful.
It was great.
And yeah, just a very good moment for him. And I think as long as Decore is out, Gomez will have his name in contention anyway. But just to get the goal to show for it, just gives him that little personal boost that, you know, keeps him in the manager's good books.
Is he like our third top goal scorer now?
With 1.
2? He's got 2. He scored at Spurs.
Oh, he did score at Spurs, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so...
This is his best ever return.
Yeah, this genuinely his best goal scoring season at Everton.
He's on a run. 2 in 5.
But,
That's not bad.
No, but yeah, he does have something to give, even though he's not the ideal player for it. It might not be his ideal position. He is just someone who can just get on the ball around that final third and pick it up, just gives us that out ball and just allows us to play we want to play.
And he drops into the midfield as well and makes it a 3.
Yeah,
that's a midfield
he
player.
He doesn't do the same defensive work because he can't get around.
Well, that's it.
As long as he's not the last man.
No, well, that's it.
I'm quite fine.
Yeah, he's all right. And
Too
he
many
will
visions
put
of
his foot
seeing
on.
people run past him. But
No, well, you know that. But if he's not in that defensive role, he's fine, isn't he? And you're right, he probably is he's probably, for now, in terms of looking at the squad, maybe he's just a short-term answer. But we do have that flexibility. If Young comes back, that McNeil or Harrison can go in there as well if he does an hour saying he can't get in it.
But like you were saying before, though, it's about the squad, isn't it? It's about if you've got players out who are injured, don't be flogging other people or forcing them into positions. Play someone who can play in that role, and that's something you want to see more when you can. It doesn't mean making 5 or 6 changes. It means making one sensible change rather than having to move people around. And that's not always what this manager does. Sometimes this manager will make. Like, you know, in the first game, I'll put McNeil over there and I'll put Harrison there and I'll put Dan Juma. It's just like, well, couldn't you have just made one change? That just
shouldn't Dan Juma, in theory, be able to play the Decore role because he's greedy, isn't he? Which he is because he's a forward. Why
doesn't drop into midfield?
But that's the problem. He does defensively, but he should be someone because he likes running with the ball, and that should create opportunities.
It's also as well, though, like you were saying, Peddy's just not switched on enough as a footballer. Decore, I think he always times his runs quite well. He always knows where to be to pick that loose ball up.
Yeah.
It's like he reads the attack well as it's falling out, and he knows where he needs to be if he's going to pick the ball up. I don't think Dan Juma has that trainer force. He knows how to take a man on. You know, he'll always back himself running at a player, but I don't think he has that stop and think, okay, what's the next play? Where's this ball going to be? Therefore, that's where I should be. And then there's the defensive side of it. It's okay, Gomez doesn't get around the pitch at speed either, but because he is naturally a midfielder, he will just naturally drop back and make it a free attempt when we're off the ball. Dan Juma, I don't know where he'd go. Off the ball, I think would become more of a 4-4-2, which we have seen at times with Decore when it seems like he's been given instructions to stay there and he's been out the game and we've been thin in midfield.
Leon is, I think, the place he'd prefer to go, Dan Juma, when he's dropped off. Come out for the second half, obviously 1-0 up, hoping to build on it a little bit. And the game just petered out, certainly in the first 15 minutes, and then they took Eze off, and that was almost like...
Give up.
Yeah, it was almost like, well, we've had a little go.
It was like, well, they made 5 subs, and it was basically like, we're playing Arsenal half 12 on Saturday.
I mean, the manager said that after the game.
And we've got to make sure we look after our players, and I think it suited us. It would have been nice if we could have got another one. We never really pushed too much. Obviously, you mentioned before, like, when Dobbin came on, he had the little flick, and it was unlucky. But I thought the most controversial moment of the second half was their goalkeeper not getting the ball off the net. Even though
left it, yeah.
The assistant referee was like, "Can you get that? Because we can't kick off." And he was like, "No." I thought it was the most controversial moment. What a tit. You know, but there you go.
Controversial to me was how much Gay moaned. Literally moaned, or just saying on
that controversy. I sit here with you a lot. I don't find that controversy.
Well, I just think running when Patterson gets elbowed in the head, running 70 yards to have a go to the referee, forgive him. He just cry-arsed. I said on my video, he's definitely had an argument with his bird or his partner before he's left. And it's just been on his mind because he just moaned all night. From the first whistle, he was moaning.
I have no issue with it.
But the Crystal Palace fans are obviously very disappointed with Roy Hodgson for taking Ezri off and let him know in no uncertain terms. He has said after the game he'd have been unhappy as well, but they've got a game at the weekend, and Ezri, I think he said he's like basically our most important player, and if he'd got injured, they'd have been moaning then because he misses a big game Saturday. So slightly mad because it's a cup competition, but if their priority list is Arsenal rather than Everton, played into Everton's hands because they didn't really do anything. It was a game. It was a weird game. Everton didn't either. I just found both teams got into the final third and then just had the ball taken off them too easy because of indecision. Like we had one where Jack Harrison goes on a good run. He's running and McNeil makes a good run across one way and Dom pulls away. And if he just plays it, Dom's in and he hesitates, and then goes to play it as he's closed down. It's like a block tackle and it's lost. And McNeil's like, mate, I've ran and I'm out of position now, and they broke on us.
Quite a few moments like that.
Dwight McNeil twice then tried to turn out when he was the left back and lost the ball, and they had the break on it.
There was one at our end as well where I think it was Brownthwaite went in for the tackle and he got it, but it bounced up, and it just had the makings of, especially a second half, where there's just lacking that adrenaline. You know, that little bit of bite, and that a lot of factors in that, the atmosphere, the cup replay, freezing.
Players were cold. You could tell.
It was lacking that little bit of
it was flat.
Mental intensity.
It was flat, honestly, for an FA Cup game. I know it was cold night.
No one wanted to be there.
It was flat.
No one wanted to be
the players, no, but sometimes, even if it can be flat, you can see there is a bit of niggle and there's a bit of intensity.
When two teams don't want to be there, it obviously transmits. Second half, it suited us because we didn't really, until like we got literally into injury time, there was no need for us to even step the game up. And
I mean, we had.
What did you think of bringing Dobbin up?
Well, I know, but fair, we've had the Dwight McNeil volley, which the keeper had a comfortable save on, and Dom snatched that one, which was a good chance. Actually, played in. I think it might have been McNeil who played him in, or Gomez, and he got it out of his foot, and he couldn't wait to get the shot away, and he had space. He could have gone again. If he'd have took another touch and got himself closer, the angle would have narrowed and he'd have been able to, and you can see that's a striker with no confidence. But when he was warming, like, because obviously they made 5 changes, so they were fresh, half a team and all that. And he was, when our players were warming up, I could see Dan Juma warming up, and Ben Godfrey looked like he was doing an extensive warm-up, like he was going to come on, and then Dobbin.
Oh, it's just cold.
And then, it was Lewis Dobbin coming on. I was a little bit surprised.
It wasn't just the fact that Lewis Dobbin came on, it was the position he came in the
number 10.
Because I thought that's a lot of responsibility you're giving him in a game which... I
think wide, he knows that. He's played there, hasn't he? But he put him on 10. Maybe he just thought it's the easiest position to put him on in, while we've still got the structure of the team, and he'll have insurance behind him. And he come on, and he wasn't intense though. I always look at younger players like that and think, go on and run around and put people under pressure and let, like, you set the tempo, because he was only, I think he come on mid-70s, wasn't he? I'm thinking, go and step a few of our players up by closing down quickly or getting, winning the ball back, get the crowd going, and he didn't. And now the manager might say, I told him to be calm and just drop off. But there's a fine line, I think, when you're a sub, especially a young player who's trying to establish himself. Go and make something happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because when he came in against Chelsea a few weeks ago and obviously got his goal, but even before that, I was impressed by the fact he just came on and did the defensive work.
Got straight into it.
He'd clearly been told to, okay, just do the dirty work. You're going to be a second full-back. Yeah, just give us that protection.
And he
came on and did that. He's obviously followed his instructions, and okay, maybe, like you say, he was given different instructions here, but you're fresh legs in a team that doesn't make that many substitutions. Palace are a little bit dead on their feet as well, and they're looking towards the weekend now. just by running a little bit, the player quality won't even come into it at this stage. It won't matter that you've only really played League One football. You're so much fresher than them. Just get about a bit and just make a nuisance of yourself.
Because he reminded me a little bit of when he come on at Burnley, and he was there, but there was no like impact from it.
Listened to the instruction. I can understand why they brought him on. I just thought it was an interesting one. It didn't bother me that I just thought it was an interesting one to give him that responsibility with 13 minutes of the game left to put him in a position but I can understand why, because I think Sean Dyche does believe our backline, are good enough to see out. And
he's been proven right on so many occasions. To be fair.
I think with having Dobbin in the hole meant that he could pick the ball up and run with it and stretch Palace at a moment where they're not going to sit back. They're going to play up at a slightly higher line. And I suppose in some part he did get that right. If he'd got McNeil's passing to McNeil right, McNeil would have been in, and it's because he's run with the ball. He just has to calm down because he is like any young player. I described that last night as when Anthony Gordon come into the team under Carlo, and it's I want to impress. I'm forgetting the work that he has to do. And then Benitez almost grabbed hold of him. If you want to be in this team, which you can be, do what I say, because all the other stuff will
Slow
come.
it down.
And I think Dobbin has to just do that. He just wants to impress. But in trying to impress, there's a frantic side to his game, and he isn't good enough. He's not good enough to do the thing that he's supposed. Just go on, just do the basic. If there's a 5-yard pass, make it the best 5-yard pass you can make
sure
it. Don't make it a 7-yard pass.
No. But I think for me, again, I said this before, after joking, it's that if I was Hodgson, I'd just be getting the fourth official to hold the timing up on the board, because the minute that 6 minutes went up, Chris, that was like the best team talk they could have ever had, because all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're going to have a go.
Yeah.
And they got a great opportunity, ball in from Gay, and it was, so I see Mateta rising, I'm thinking, and it went over his head. And I think it might be Schluppers here at the far post with the header, and João Virginia just does the Peter Schmeichel star, doesn't he, and blocks it. But it was a heart-in-the-mouth moment, mainly because there might be another 30 minutes.
No, that was it. That was it. Don't do this to us.
And it was a good block, and then a couple of minutes later he was brave. He come out and was brave and took the ball as well at the feet.
There was one where he took the ball and it squared away from him.
But that was because Mateta went in.
But he was good though. He come off his line really. He come off his line really well, and he was decisive. And you know, there's a goalie there, whether it's for Everton in the future or somebody else. There's a goalie there. He's very calm. I told you it was funny at the end when he came into the glass. He was selling the fist pumps, and it was like, well, nice one, mate.
But he's only played with no crowd though for Everton. Yeah. It was his first game at Goodison with the crowd, hasn't he? Where he played in COVID, but there was no fans there, was there? So for him, that was a huge moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, and being able to rise to that occasion as well, because probably one of the bigger crowds he's ever played in front of as well. And like you said, I don't see him ever being Everton's number one, because, you know, we've got Pickford, but, you know, it's good for him on a personal level if, you know, maybe he plays our cup games, that's a shop window for him, and someone goes, well, he'd be a good number one for us. If not, he can hopefully be a player we can rely on for as and when we need him. And he did make a very crucial save. And yeah, I'm just happy for him on a personal level, even if we don't see him again in the cup, even if he now brings Pickford back in, as you know, we potentially move to the latter stages.
I must admit with him,
I think he'll play against Luton.
I must admit that there's thinking about goalies, second choice goalies, they're always at like one end of the other of the spectrum, either older goalies or really young goalies. For what I've seen of him, and not just these games, but what we've seen in lockdown as well, and he has improved since lockdown. For his age, he seems to be the most sort of, you actually could see him going somewhere and do. Whereas there's not many we've had before, like going back ages with the likes of Simmons.
I like Joel. I think.
No, Joel was good, but I actually think Joel. But what I'm saying is Joel for me was the number one. Till Pickford came.
Used that, was he?
Till Pickford, and then Pickford came.
Because Jordan Pickford's had like Stecklenburg, and he's had Robin Olsen and Begovic. So this keeper, 23-year-old, 24, is a young goalie at the other end, and obviously he's played 2 games against Palace, got 2 clean sheets. I mean, that's all he can do as a young goalkeeper, isn't it? Come in, he's done whatever's been asked of him, he's done it.
I do feel, the bit where I feel sorry for him is when we get to the final, And we put Pickford back in. I think that's...
Or Lonergan, you know.
I don't think Lonergan will
but
get
he's
it.
never played. You've got to give him
get on the bench, Lonergan.
You've got to give him a game. He's never played.
Get a game outfield the way things are going.
I mean, for a goalkeeper, what did he make of his kicking? Some people were moaning.
No, his kicking's not great.
He's like, it's all right, isn't it? But
it's like old goalkeeper kicking. Yeah. It's like non-modern.
He was a bit rash
you understand that?
Yeah, you wouldn't know that, Jack.
Yeah.
You forget.
Where keepers just kick the ball in a general direction.
Yeah.
Oh no, Nick Pope does it.
I was going to say Nick Pope does it every
Fair play.
You know,
England #1.
And Sam Johnston isn't great with his feet.
Well, he can't get the ball off the top of the bloody goal. No, his kicking needs work.
Needs a bit of work.
Clearly needs work.
Yeah, definitely. But listen, it was a good win.
Yeah.
Dobben almost, like you said, almost wrapped it up with that little back heel after overhitting the pass. And there was a few of those moments where we created a good bit of space and the final ball was dreadful. We overhit it or we underhit it or we turned back, and we'd had a few of them as they did in the first half. But name of the game was to win, get through.
Name of the game's football. But,
yeah. And that was what we did last night, like I said before, another clean sheet.
Yeah.
Trying to build that home form up. I think since we lost the opening 4 games, it's just the both Manchester clubs have won at Goodison, and both games could have arguably been different stories. So the manager is trying to get that home form up a bit more durable at home, and back-to-back clean sheets in a few days with, you know, Villa and Palace, 2 Premier League teams. Gives you a bit of hope for the second half of the season, despite all the other stuff.
We're on a 3-game unbeaten run.
That is going. We are. You're absolutely right.
And we've conceded no goals in that 3 games.
So, it's all good.
It's all good.
2024, Everton are flying.
It's going to be our
year.
1 goal scored.
The Dyche Express.
Bit
of Dutch to it.
Got a bit of cumin in.
Yeah. Bit of Jordan Henderson.
Obviously, that win last night means Everton face Luton Town in round 4 a week on Saturday to 3 o'clock kickoff. Let's have a look at the match stats from the game last night. Here we go. Everton 1, Palace 0. 9 shots for Everton, 11 for Crystal Palace. Both had 5 on target. Both had no big chances in the game. And Everton won the possession. Very rare that Sean Dyche's team wins the possession.
That's what I'd be more embarrassed about if I was Palace.
That we
losing
won the possession.
Yeah.
It's a rarity, though.
It's the Gomez effect.
There is.
Having that
he just keeps it, doesn't he?
Portuguese midfielder on the pitch.
You know what I'm really surprised about?
Hodgson said Gomez was unstoppable.
You know what I'm really surprised about? That you haven't put some kind of weird accent on Gamera. I don't know, Gomesh or something like that.
Or Gamish.
Because you love taking people's names and like...
just mixing it up.
Improved them.
Calvert-Lewin.
That's his name. Calvert-Lewin.
You know, I thought it would have been Gamesh or Germans.
Sorry, what do you call Calvert-Lewin?
Calvert-Lewin. Not Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin.
I feel like that's the
same thing. Well, is it? Yeah. Is it? But that's fine.
Gerardo Brandwaite.
That's fine. Braithwaite. No, it's absolutely fine. A win.
Yeah.
Next round, Luton will be a tough game only because
we've already seen this
side.
season they're hard to play against. They make it difficult and a threat from set pieces. But you know, hopefully this team have learned a few things about themselves since that first Luton game, and you know we can approach it differently this time.
Do you think? Sorry, just to finish, Pat. Do you think the timing of the Luton game? Do you think the manager will be looking at Fulham and obviously Spurs? Everton have got 3 games in that week.
No, I don't think he's that kind of manager, is he?
I'm just thinking if the Corey may well be out of all of them games, but I just meant if he was like a little bit like
I think he'll have Young back and he'll have Coleman back, so we'll have options.
We'll have all our new signings as well.
Absolutely. I think Ashley Young opens up a couple of options to change the team around.
Just allows us to move players around a bit, doesn't it? And we all think it's a bit of a weird one, Dobben coming on in the position he did, but that shows me maybe he's been earmarked as a potential player for that role, and maybe that's something they're working on with him to potentially play that position as well.
Different games, yeah, maybe. Good, because we do need options, don't we? Right, there you go. That's enough for a game. Listen, Everton won the game, and if you've never told him, that's all that matters. We're in the next round. We've got Luton. Palace fans, sure, you're frustrated with Ezzy going off, but you're probably just a bit like, on we go. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you later. Hello, welcome back. We'll just go through your